Hey everybody, Jason Bermas here for WeAreChange.org, and there are several really big stories that the media has just ignored in the wake of this Parkland, Florida school shooting. And one of the biggest ones has huge national and really international implications if you think about who's being accused. Now, 1980s wrestling star from the WWF, now the WWE, Billy Jack Haynes. If you don't remember him, he used to wear a green outfit. His finishing move was the full Nelson, and I vividly remember him. Well, the two young men to the side of Mr. Haynes were actually killed, and the story goes that they were killed because they saw something that they should not have. Now, initially, these two boys' bodies were found on train tracks, and their death was ruled an accident because they passed out smoking pot. Now, obviously, their families thought that this was far fetched and far from the truth. Well, turns out that was the case. A grand jury said no, these kids were actually murdered. And according to Billy Jack Haynes, they were murdered because they saw something they should not have. Now, this is being discussed in only the local media. That's unfortunate, but true. And ArkansasMatters.com did an interview with Haynes where he admits to being a drug trafficker who was introduced to a very powerful Arkansas politician. Gee, I wonder who that could be, since these two kids are on the very beginning of what some people call the Clinton body count list. And he was introduced by none other than drug smuggler Barry Seal. Barry Seal, according to Billy Jack Haynes. Now, although there was a huge whitewash with the American Made film and Tom Cruise, there is a small association made between then Governor Bill Clinton and Barry Seal in that film. Now, again, it's a very small one, but it is there, and the movie was initially supposed to be called Mina. Now, moving on to other stories, because that one is just a blockbuster. Watch your back, Billy Jack, because we know that, even though you're 62 years old, it's not beyond the realm of possibility that something bad may happen to you and it be made to look like it wasn't what really happened. That seems to be the case sometimes with these associates of Bill Clinton. Again, he says a very powerful politician. He says he was there because he was filming a deal going down, a drug deal, and he was ordered to kill somebody if they were stealing from this very powerful politician. And basically, these kids were there. When they came back, a couple enforcers had been sent to get them because they saw something they should not have. They were beaten almost to death. One was then stabbed. And Billy Jack is even making the claim that he had that camera there and he actually filmed an 8-second video of them being hit by that train. He said he had to put the bodies there and he was in a mask. He feared for his life if he did not comply. Now, whether or not all this is true, I can't tell you, but the media nationally is certainly ignoring this story. And they're ignoring this one to a large extent as well. These big indictments people are talking about by criminal Robert Mueller, the main man who covered up 9/11. Yes, I won't stop chiming in about that, folks, because that is the truth of the matter. That is really what happened. This guy is not a good guy. I don't know why the left is now praising him when back in the day, when there were warmongers in the White House that were just outward about it, the Dick Cheneys, the Don Rumsfelds, puppet George W. Bush, or, raining down bombs all over the place with really no legitimate evidence, and this contrived, bin Laden theme song that was echoed by the FBI, and when all real evidence came Robert Mueller's way from people like Robert Wright and others, him and Chertoff, then the deputy director of the FBI, shut them up. And now we have Michael Moore participated in an anti-Trump rally. That's right. Well, nothing really amazing about that except for these indictments. One of them include a rally Moore was at with, yes, these supposed Russian agents that got Trump elected. Excuse me? Excuse me? And now they're changing the narrative yet again, because the narrative was that these emails that were taken from John Podesta were somehow hacked by Russians. All the evidence points to Seth Rich, and possibly with the aid of Kim.com. Zero Hedge is reporting on that story. I encourage you to look at that. But they're trying to now spin it that they were fomenting political dissent. Again, we do this openly in just about every other nation in the world. And, there are talking heads out there on mainstream media saying, well, we only do that to get rid of despots. So we interfere in elections and it's been our policy for decades upon decades upon decades, right? And obviously the Russians do the same thing, and they've probably done this in the past. There'll be no investigations into that. Yet they're trying to sell this hacking collusion narrative. They have nothing there, and now they're talking about fomenting discourse and dissent within our political system. It's really one of the weirdest and oddest times in our country that people think that this is a legitimate investigation. Listen, are a lot of these guys that are getting indicted criminals? Have they broken the law? You bet they have. That's why it's easy to indict them. A lot of these guys like Manafort are high-level criminals. They've broken the law again and again and again throughout their lifetime, but they've been able to buy their way out of it because that class of people, that echelon of society, that's the norm. Okay, but now we have this contrived investigation with really no ceiling on the amount of money they spent. I would love to see, again, a number. Let's go back to us fighting to get an investigation into 9/11 that we really didn't get. And then this joke of a commission that had a budget that was laughable by every standard then. And now we'll just spend money hand over fist on a fake investigation. It's really just overtly bizarre, and I hope the awake people out there really relate this to other people, that it's not about, left or right or Trump or Russians. It's really about total control of society and the minds of the masses. And we're going to get into a couple really disturbing stories, and unfortunately, we have yet another supposed politician, quote-unquote, pedophile. Now, he hasn't been convicted of anything yet, but we have this very odd page system in D.C. where, people that are underage, they're in high school, they go and they help politicians. And now we have a story where he extorted sex from one of his pages, okay? Just unbelievable. You have a state senator, you have a Republican. I believe he was the youngest state senator of all time, 19 years old when he was first elected. And you get these young kids in there, some of them can't even drive. And this wasn't even, a semi-mutual thing. He literally extorted this page for sex, according to the accuser. And is he going to get off? Is he part of a bigger picture? I don't really know, but it is definitely a story that we are going to follow. But an example how, these serial molesters, these serial pedophiles get off easy, well, is this National Post story right here. Now, this 74-year-old man had already previously been convicted of molesting a 3-year-old girl. How he was out of prison after that is a mystery. 6 other people come forward after learning this. He gets convicted again of sexual abuse. He gets 5 years. And somehow a judge now sees it fit to cut that sentence in half. Why? Why do we treat child rapists less than we do rapists? It boggles my mind, but then if you look at the power structure, if you look at top-level officials in government, in religion, and you see how many of these people have been ensnared in these type of things, it makes sense so that when lower-level people in their rings are caught, they are more apt to keep quiet because they know they're only going to do a little bit of time. And if they do talk, obviously bad things could happen to them, but they've done some pretty bad things to a lot of people. And it disgusts me that this behavior has not been exposed more, and some of the most powerful offenders of this are still out there. And that's why we do shows like this one. Guys, thanks for watching. Again, it's only through your financial support that reports like this one are possible. Please share this on social media, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and be the change you'd like to see in the world.